Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. And one of the key talking points going into Modern Warfare 2 is what exactly does the movement look like and who is it going to favour? Shotzzy revealing that he believes the Dolphin Dive is actually the more aggressive and offensive movement rather than the slide, and that the slide cancel doesn't really exist in this game, and Scump believes that certainly could be a good thing, certainly for his hands and the longevity of his career. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you are new as always, I'd greatly appreciate it. It really helps out the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that one. Plenty to discuss today. Look at what a fantastic image that Tactical Academy found right here from Crimsix's stream last night, I imagine. But there's a lot of talking points around Crimsix right now. What's he going to do? Is he going to keep playing? Is he going to call it a day? And of course, this is relevant to the whole slide cancel topic. We've seen that some players over the last few years have not been quite so good when the movement mechanics have changed to some degree. It was actually a massive talking point when we went from jetpacks back to boots on the ground, going from Infinite Warfare into World War II. What would happen with some of the kind of OG players? Would they get better again? Going into World War II, many of the OG names, even Stainville and Swanee or Gunchy, I think was a name, they tried to make a return for World War II, and it was a rather brief return in fairness. I'm not sure they were really fully committed to it, but still, those guys were definitely better. Certainly guys like Aches, for example, Aches, JCap, these players were individually much better in World War II when the movement was changed to when they were in the jetpack era. So is it a similar story we're going to experience here? If the slide cancel is kind of gone, yes, the movement is still probably going to be cracked to some degree, but it probably will favour some players over others, and that's why some might argue, it's rather unwise to not give Crimsix the spots given what else he adds, but also that he might just be better in this game with, firstly it's Modern Warfare that Crim is good at anyway, and then you've got to consider the other factors involved where potentially the movement will favour him as well. Who knows? Of course, we shall see over time. Crim's been streaming lately. I think that's probably going to be his plan going forwards. I suppose it does remain to be seen. And just to mention this, right, as he said, because we saw this a couple of weeks ago now where Crim said that, the real thing that's taken a toll on him the last couple of years or so has been the relationship with his wife, and it's been a difficult couple of years for both her and I, he says, and kind of was saying, look, if he gets an offer in the CDL, he does want it to be kind of conducive with actually maintaining a healthy relationship with his wife, because last season he said was not good on that relationship at all, just, getting off angry after 9 hours of just painful scrims with the Subliners boys every single day was not good for his health, was not good for the health of his relationship. So I think that's one of kind of the key features here in Crimsix's life, that he wants to make sure he doesn't sacrifice, and if a team offer comes along which might not necessarily be aligned with that, then he's probably going to decline it regardless. But definitely, I'm sure more to come on the Crimsix story in the coming days, but I still think it's unwise for teams not to get his services, especially with how this game might potentially play. This I thought was kind of funny here between Octane and Envoy real quick, but I did want to mention these two players specifically, right? aBeZy, Envoy, these type of guys. What might they look like in this upcoming game? Will it make no difference at all? Because I think some people said going into World War II that look, there's no such thing as a jetpacker, there's no such thing as a boots on the ground player, they'll just, good players will be good players, which is true to a certain extent, but I don't think it was fully true. Looking at the numbers in World War II, JCat was a really solid player. I mean, look, don't get me wrong, he made every single World Championship grand final in the jetpack era, but still, in World War II individually, he was a better player, as most certainly was Aches that season. He came from 3 terrible years in a row in jetpacks to then coming back into World War II and actually delivering good performances once again. So will the changes in movement going into Modern Warfare 2, even if they might not be super substantial like they were from jetpack to boots on the ground, will they still have some impact on how good, especially some of the SMG players will be? And lots of the SMG players have given their thoughts on this already, right? Shotzzy will see his thoughts in a second on exactly how the movement is playing out so far and what he expects this to mean for the game. And also Scump saying that he would welcome really no slide cancelling. He doesn't mind slide cancelling, but he's not happy what it's done for his hands. Now, even if slide cancelling is gone, does that necessarily mean there isn't some other cracked movement where you also have to spam your controller, especially if tactical sprint still exists? I really don't think tactical sprint should even exist, but that I suppose is what it is. And hopefully we get a game as memorable here as Modern Warfare 2 was originally, but I suppose that's wishful thinking to some degree. So let's talk about the OpTic boys' perspective on this, right? Because there's been so much talk about this recently. Modern Warfare 2 is coming out. We really haven't seen any gameplay of this yet, but many pro players have played it so far and they have said that the slide cancel doesn't exist in the same way as it did before in the most recent game. So the slide cancel, you sprint, you slide, and then you will start shooting. You can cancel the slide by pressing slide again, this type of stuff. The slide has pretty much been a staple of every pro player's movement, right? If you want to take a gunfight, you've got to slide cancel around the corner and take the gunfight. That's just how you take it for the last couple of games. That option may now be gone, but it could be replaced by other stuff. So we shall see what the boys have to say on this. So this is one of the key talking points back on even a couple of days ago for Modern Warzone, kind of saying, look, if slide cancelling isn't in the game, we don't know 100%. Of course, the pro players haven't had that much time to play on it. You give Shotzzy and Cellium like a few hours with the game, they might find out a way to do this to some degree. But you know, slide cancelling might be gone. It might be that you slide and you can't really cancel it in the same way with your movement. You can't just ADS, or if you do slide and then ADS, it takes you quite a while to get out of the slides. Like I think that's kind of something that some pro players would like to see, that the gunfights are somewhat more traditional. So I think I'd be relatively happy if slide cancelling was to be gone. Like you know, I would like the movement to change back to maybe a more traditional way to a certain extent. Some might disagree, but as long as there's other ways to use movement in interesting ways, I think that might be preferable to certainly some of the players. Now, Shotzzy, of course, he's known as the movement king. This guy, it doesn't really matter what the movement is next season. I feel like Shotzzy's going to be good regardless. This guy's just gliding around the map. He's making jumps that other people really struggle to hit, hitting strafe jumps and stuff like this. Like, I feel like whatever the movement mechanics is, Shotzzy's going to be one of the key guys. Does he get worse with no slide cancel? Who knows? Like, I know that Crimsix has made this point in recent years that guys like Simp and aBeZy, they're only good because it's the slide, well, not only good, obviously, he's exaggerating there, but, you know, he's basically said that they're slide cancelling merchants, right? They're players that thrive on the slide cancelling era because that's pretty much where they came up since Black Ops 4 and beyond. Take them back to a couple of years before, maybe some of the older players are slightly more competitive with Simp and aBeZy. So look, if slide cancelling is gone, do Shotzzy, Simp, and you know, aBeZy get worse by 2%? Maybe they do, right? I don't think they get worse by 20% of their ability. Like, you know, they're still going to be disgusting players, obviously, but maybe it does change it to some degree how, you know, how some players perform in this upcoming title. So this is Shotzzy's thoughts on this. He was talking to Zoom about the game and, you know, what it's potentially going to look like going forward. And as he describes here, actually, kind of exactly what a Ghost of Hope says just the day before, a couple of days ago, that dolphin diving in this game, like, of course, you guys remember dolphin diving from the last time it was in the game, I guess it was World War II, but previously to that, it was in, you know, Black Ops 2, iconically, Black Ops 1, you know, these obviously fantastic games from back in the day. Apparently, dolphin diving is, maybe you're really hard to hit when you're diving or whatever, but actually you can use this in an offensive manner. And sliding is now defensive, as in you're using it to get away from opponents. Now, this honestly to me sounds good, because I can't imagine that dolphin diving is viable in every gunfight. If it is, the game is just straight up broken. Like, I imagine that dolphin diving is good, like, offensively on occasion, but probably not every single fight, which sounds to me like a much better way for the movement to be.
Corners, yeah, jumping, shimmying. And then I also heard you can dolphin dive too, which I don't know if that's true or not.
Yeah, you can.
Okay, so you can do everything. You can do everything. You can.
No, that's kind of cracked. I'm not gonna lie, but
yeah.
I feel like people are gonna abuse the fuck out of it because that's what I was in.
I mean, bro,
you're able to fly like you just sprint, fly. That's all you do. So that's what I was doing at least.
Well, see, I'm excited to see that.
They gotta nerf that. I'm not gonna lie.
Wait, really? Is it that? What do you mean? You just beat?
Yeah, you were, bro. I was literally like, I'm just flying, dude.
Wait, no, wait. You can just keep doing it. Like you can just dive.
Yeah, ask Cammy.
Is it the fastest way to move? Are people gonna be jumping off rip like frogs?
Yeah, literally. Everyone's gonna be frog.
Oh
I think it's good too, and like I think a lot of people worried that it's gonna be too slow, but bro, World War II did not have a slide cancel, and people were sprinting around corners in that game, dropping 40s.
Yeah.
Like you would just hit corners with a sub and like camera people.
You agree with it or no?
I mean, for me personally, if I had to choose, I'd choose no slide canceling. For like, I mean, this is talking from Warzone though. CDL, it's a whole different thing. Yeah. I'd rather there not be slide canceling though, but
same.
That's just me.
I'm from like, you know, we're from the golden days, you know, like.
Yeah, MW3, just like a bot sprint.
Dude, yeah, like jump camera like that. It's like, I mean, I don't mind slide canceling. I just don't like what it's done to my hands. I'm sitting here death gripping my controller,
true.
ripping
You guys,
300 APM.
You guys do your controller what, every like 3 weeks?
It's been the 14th day of practice in a row. I'm nice and
I'd also share that clip there of Scump talking about slide cancelling, saying, look, he doesn't really hate it necessarily, but like he just doesn't like what it's done to his hand. And this is honestly a key point from Scump the last couple of seasons, that like, you know, really, that, you know, playing claw and all this kind of, input on his hands every single day has taken a toll on his potential longevity of his career. If there's no slide cancelling and that the movement is slightly less intrusive in that sense, then maybe there is a world in which Scump stays around longer as a result. So what do you guys think this means? I think Shotzzy's insight is kind of interesting here just because, of course, like, look, he knows knows movement, right? He knows the game. He's played it a fair bit, understands what it might look like, and he definitely seems to believe that the sliding is definitely a very different mechanic in this upcoming title as it has been in the past. Could things change? Yes. Could people understand new ways to break the movement? Certainly. But, you know, if it is indeed the case that dolphin diving is the more aggressive option, as in, you know, you dive round a corner and take a gunfight, as opposed to sliding around the corner, then that's rather interesting. Because to me, like, you know, if you're in the middle of a gunfight and you get caught off guard, in the current titles, you might just go for the slide cancel and take the fight, but you can't really like, I'm just imagining what the dolphin dive should look like. You probably can't get away with dolphin diving in the middle of a gunfight. Like, that's probably not going to work. You might do it to engage in certain situations, but like, you probably can't use it all the time. So to me, I think that creates a better balance of the movement. You guys might disagree, you guys might love the slide cancel, but I think it's about time we move on, because, you know, back in the day, the movement would change so dramatically every year. You went from Black Ops 2 to Ghost, where there was no dolphin dive and it was a slide, then to Advanced Warfare when it was jetpacks, and then of course we had the dash, and then Black Ops 3 was wall running. Infinite Warfare was similar to Black Ops 3 but less aggressive, then straight back to boots on the ground with dolphin diving again in World War 2. Then it was straight into Black Ops 4 with grappling and sliding, and, you know, since Warzone's come out, the game has pretty much been the same. And of course, look, I don't expect there to be a massive difference or anything between this upcoming movement and what we've seen in the past. Like, they've still got to align it with Warzone and stuff like this, but like, in general, I think it probably could be a good thing for the competitive scene to have a little bit of a change in this. And also, what does it mean for the players, right? Do you buy that there's going to be any difference in how good the players are based on the kind of changed movement mechanics? Do you think it, you know, makes Scump better? Does it make Shotzzy better? Does it make some of these other SMG players worse? Does it make some of the more traditional SMGs a little bit better? You know, guys like Envoy and stuff, right? Even maybe guys like Kenny haven't really been movement abusers per se. They're more kind of traditional. Like, Scump is kind of the quintessential example, you could argue, of the kind of traditional SMG player, understandably, because he's been around for so long. But like, you know, he's a pretty pre-aim heavy SMG, doesn't abuse the movement so much as compared to some of the newer gen SMGs, you could argue, that have come up over the last few years. He's gonna, you know, he's gonna run around, he's gonna play aggressive, but he's gonna hold his pre-aim, so he's not gonna do some crazy stuff with the movement, and maybe this kind of style benefits that a little bit more than previous games have. But that's the thing, right? I was looking back at this tweet that OpTic did, and I was just thinking, well, like, every single year here, for many years, there was an entirely different, to at least some degree, movement, you know, mechanic that was used every single year. And of course, the better players adapted, but every year, some players got better and some players got worse. That was just a natural thing that, you know, some games suited some players better than others. And the last few years, it's been generally a pretty consistent trend as to who's at the top, arguably because the movement has been so similar. So definitely tweet your thoughts on that one in the comment section below. A couple of interesting things to close out the video for you guys with. Last night, the Break and Woke boys and Roosevelt came out with the greatest champs winner of all time bracket. So I think Roosevelt has wanted to do this for quite some time, and this is what the entire bracket looks like. But now, of course, we have 10 champs winners. There are 2 teams with buys. Those 2 teams are respectively Complexity from 2014, understandably so, and OpTic from 2017 as well. I guess technically there's actually, you know, well, 6 teams with buys, and these teams had to start from the first rounds, but you know, still, you get the picture. These are generally the best teams. There's 10 teams now, all different organizations, which I think is kind of remarkable, right? No organization has ever won more than 1 champs, which is kind of absurd, to be honest, to think about. But yeah, these are then the 2 matches that have gone down so far. The first one being, I guess I'll just bring it up here, Denial Esports from Advanced Warfare, Crowder, as it was replaced at the time, Jacob Attach and Clayster versus LA Thieves Vanguard. Which team was better? Who would win a best of 5 based on their grand final performance? That is the idea here. The poll is going on. The other one is this matchup. Of course, you know, there's only going to be one winner here, unfortunately, because Evil Geniuses find themselves kind of, you know, it's considered one of the biggest fluke winners of all time. And one might argue, look, it's 5 versus 4, so obviously Dallas Empire are going to win, right? So you've got to consider, I don't exactly know what game you're thinking about here, but it's just kind of a subjective thing, who might be the better team in theory. So I think so far the votes are definitely going the way of Denial, and also on the other side the votes are probably going the way of the Dallas Empire, right? Yeah, so here we go. It's hard to determine who the better team is, but over the coming days I'm sure we will start to establish who the best grand finals team of all time is for the World Championship winners, and I'm sure you guys can probably already guess who it's going to be. But very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.